How's the interview going so far, you think, Paul?
So far, I like it. It feels like an intervention, but it's fun.
Cool.
Brunch. Hit it, boys.
This is a very fun episode, and we're going to kick it off by saying, what up, Sylvia?
What up, Sylvia?
Keep going in med school. You're doing a great job. We hear great things about all the stuff you're doing, and we're happy.
I just heard that you took a massive test.
Whoa.
So congratulations on that. Hope the results are great. We sure you killed it. Thanks for listening to this podcast. We love you.
Let's keep it going with an episode of Brunch.
Hit it, boys!
Another day in February. Another just more murky times. What have you been doing to clamp the damp?
I gotta tell you, I've just been like totally beaten down over the past week or so.
It's murky weather, man.
I've been under the weather, literally and figuratively. I've been sick, and I don't usually get the S word.
Yeah.
But I've been pretty sick. Work has been insane. It's just, man, I've just been like chronically tired.
You've been I've been chronically tired for a whiwhile. You've been being a baby about being sick?
No. I've been fighting through it.
Are you okay when you have a cold?
I'm not running at 100% or whatever, but I'm not like, oh, I've got a cold, feel bad for me.
So I don't like to get into the women be like blank, men be like blank.
Well, women be like, I'm gonna handle this sickness.
Right, yes. I'm endlessly fascinated by how differently men and women handle colds, because I mean it's obviously something that every person gets a cold at some point in their life, and in my experience, I'm not trying to generalize, but I am completely generalizing here. Women continue to function, and in like me, if I get a cold, I don't know. I'm astonished anyone expects anything from me.
I think that women's like bodies beat them up more though. Like they like train them for light sicknesses more than guys do.
Ladies, how you feel about text
like,
text in one if you're saying are you with me?
As somebody who grew up in a household with only women.
Same.
Like what?
No, I had
you
a
have
dad.
a dad.
Sorry.
No, like cramps.
Yeah.
They'll kill you. My mom used to wake up in the middle of the night with like awful cramps, and it would just be like the most devastating thing in the world.
Cool podcast.
No, but like it would be devastating for me because I'd be like, damn, I can't say anything. I can be like, ooh, that looks like it sucks, but like can't offer any words of encouragement there.
See, I was more like, they handle this well, I don't. And that's it.
But I think that
I wasn't like I should be more like them.
No, my greater point is that they've been trained, I think.
Okay.
They're tougher.
Very cool. Well, as we're trying to figure out how to deal with this weather and looking forward to sunnier times, I'll tell you, I just can't wait till July 24th through 26th when we're on Martha's Vineyard. In Martha's Vineyard, on Martha's Vineyard. It's something we'll discuss in this episode with Paul Samuel Dolman. That's right. The Martha's Vineyard talk continues. We got notable Martha's Vineyard resident Paul Samuel Dolman, author of the classic Hitchhiking with Larry David. We're going to talk to him about the vineyard. And really, I'll say that in this episode, we learn about Martha's Vineyard and ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. This is like unlike any interview we've ever had before, and probably unlike any interview that we'll ever have again.
This is my favorite thing about these, when we have guests, that we can just immediately take it to a new place. And that's he compliments our interviewing quite a bit. And the more I think about it, warranted. How many other
I think
shows and interviewers immediately get their subjects to let's both enter a completely new world that I've never been in, that you've never been in, and we're just there.
I can think of a couple, but
I don't know. Pardon My Take does like the you step into our office kind of thing. We're just like let's all find a new place together.
Yeah, I think who does that really well is the guy from Hot Ones. Sean Evans.
Sean Evans.
He's like one of the best interviewers.
They've
out
got
there.
I'm definitely not saying on the best interview. They've got he's got a
TV
game show now.
Yeah, TV game show. Good for him. That guy rules. He also like one of our biggest missed opportunities. So I think can't even call it a missed opportunity because he'd probably do it. But like years ago, we said
there was some like ground floor relationship there, right?
Yeah, and like he still follows me on Twitter. Still, I've DM'd with him a few times. That guy rules. He's the nicest person ever. Well, not true because Paul Samuel Dolman is the nicest person ever. That conversation was awesome, and I think like a lot of the times we are sporadic with our interviews because I think a lot of the times we keep an arm's length from interviews because we like to vibe.
Yes.
We like to share this vibe, and the chemistry is sort of what this show is built on. And sometimes when
we said last episode, text 1 if you know what we're talking about. Text 2 if you just like to hear two voices talking.
Right. And sometimes when you bring a third voice in, it sort of like disrupts it. But not at all this time because he is the greatest person to just vibe with.
Yes, he's terrific. Do you want to jump into it? Do you want to talk about? We do have some movies coming up. Blumhouse season continues with The Invisible Man.
Yeah,
We do an opening day. We do an opening day in Vizzies.
I don't know, man. I've just been so like swamped and, like I said, just beaten down that I feel like I'm falling behind. I know that it's bad movie season, but I don't want to fall behind on that. And I feel like I'm a little behind, but I still have interest in. I don't know how interested I am in The Invisible Man, just because they give away way too much in the trailer.
I haven't seen the trailer.
Really?
I have seen the trailer for
How have you avoided that?
I don't know, man. Just not being cool. I have seen the trailer. We just watched it for. They're doing another Candyman. Mm-hmm. I've seen, I think, the second half of the Candyman, but I know that it's the original and good Bye Bye Man. Okay. Of like, you don't say this thing because if you do, it comes and it ruins your life. And it was Tony Todd played the Candyman. I assume they didn't show the Candyman at all in this trailer. I'm assuming that they will and that it will be Tony Todd. It's a Jordan Peele type affiliated situation, so that looks interesting. You said when we watched, you're like, that just looks like a lot.
Yeah, it looks like a lot. I don't know what to do with that.
But it's cool. I mean, it took place in Chicago projects. And from watching the trailer, it looks like this, in addition to all the death and the stuff, it looks like it deals with gentrification as well. Mm-hmm. That's kind of interesting spin to put on this classic story. But all I know about The Invisible Man is that it's Elizabeth Moss, which we're looking for bounce back Moss here, right? After the kitchen.
After the kitchen, that's correct, yeah.
Right. This is... with the expression, go back to the kitchen. People say stuff like that. Why don't you stay in the kitchen? It's the last thing we would ever wish upon Elizabeth Moss, one of the great actors of our time. And this is It's directed by Lee Whannell. I've never said his name out loud. The Saw guy.
Oh,
the guy did the original.
I didn't
Saw.
know that.
Yeah, and he plays the
Invisible
main
Man?
character in Saw.
Okay.
You know, it's
right,
it's Dr. Gordon,
yeah.
and then another guy.
Yeah.
That other guy is the dude who wrote Saw. And I think, I could be wrong, I think that initially, much like the classic 2014 film Whiplash, it was like originally a short film that was then expanded. So, I don't know, Moss, and we'll call him Lee. That seems like a very intriguing team. I don't know who else is in the movie, but
again, like I've just been so put off by how much they reveal in the trailers.
Yeah,
like, I think I would be much more interested in this movie had they made it sort of like made me wonder. Okay, there's not a lot of wondering going into this movie because I feel like they just give away too much.
Cool. Well, we're gonna check that out, and let's just give you the incredible discussion that we had.
Wait, before we do that, I just want to mention because we didn't mention it with him. But it's like, this is a very full circle moment for me because I found out about Hitchhiking with Larry David from you on this podcast.
Cool.
Because a year or two ago, I just was like very much going in on one, reading, and two, Seinfeld. I had started reading Seinfeldia, I believe it was called.
Yeah.
Which is basically like the Seinfeld encyclopedia and just told the story, which was an awesome book. I would recommend that. And then from there, you immediately recommended Hitchhiking with Larry David to me. And so I went right into Hitchhiking with Larry David, which Also, a fucking fantastic book, and I'm not even just blowing smoke because this guy's on the podcast.
Oh, no,
and
we both love it.
We had him on the podcast because we love the book, and his vibe that he gave off in the book. So, would 100% recommend that. It is a super easy book to just breeze through, and it gives like a. He called it what a love song to Martha's Vineyard. We prefer the term love letter to Martha's Vineyard. It is 100% a love letter to Martha's Vineyard, which is why we decided to have him on, because we're going to be Martha's Vineyard guys this summer.
Right, we're trying to learn everything we can about Martha's Vineyard, and he's terrific. I guess now that we've said hold up for jumping in, we'll get some quick other brunch things out of the way. Earmuffs, Pete, there's some new music out there. Phoebe Bridgers put out a new song, which is solid. I'll continue to listen to it. I like it. It has expanded. It has put me on a bit of like a Phoebe Bridgers, not necessarily kick, but like tangent, where in hearing this song, I'm starting to figure out some of the tricks of the Phoebe Bridgers playbook, which I don't know if is necessarily a good or a bad thing. But Dirty Projectors also put out a new song this week called Overlord, and I am crazy about it. It's sung by their guitarist, Maya, I believe is her name, and it's just a beautiful song. I'm going to listen to it probably 1,000 times in my life, so check out those things. I'm also going to make a playlist of just a bunch of songs that I happen to think are good, and there might be some overlap in that they're all playing Beach Road Weekend, July 24th through 26th on Martha's Vineyard, in Martha's Vineyard, so you can check that out. And lastly, before we jump into Paul Samuel Dolman, you're a tea guy now, huh?
I'm a tea guy now, yeah.
Very cool.
I'm very much like a basic beginner's level tea guy. I'm still using tea bags. I've been told that like loose leaf and steeping and all that is the way to go. I believe it.
Yeah, I've never gone that far.
I'll get there eventually. But like I got a kettle. I got like tea sets. I'm into biscuits while having my tea. I just like.
Is that Marriage Story related or inspired, or is that just before? More like if you like tea? People who like Amazon, people who tried tea also tried, and it's like biscuits are below.
No, I think
customers who bought tea also bought.
I like very consciously was like, I want to be a tea guy, and I want to commit to being a tea guy, and I think that like having a teacup on a saucer with some biscuits, man, that's a vibe, and I want that vibe. And so I've committed to it, and I'm enjoying it, man, because like I first started getting into it because like I was working nights, been working nights lately, working pretty late. And I've just like I hit like the feeling pretty late at night that like I would love a coffee right now, but I know that if I drink a coffee that like I'm gonna be up the entire night. But like coffee has like a calming effect to it. Like having a cup of coffee is calming to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like I like just like the practice.
You're saying
of
you're still talking about coffee.
Yeah.
You're saying coffee can have a calming presence for you.
Yeah, I know how stupid that sounds.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because it
like the practice of drinking coffee is very like calming for my mind, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it allows me to sort of kind of. I don't want to say like wind down because that's the opposite of what coffee does for you, but it's like a reset.
Yeah.
So I decided to like explore tea as an alternative to that, just for like the practice of drinking something hot. Mm-hmm. And it's worked for me. I like it a lot.
What I find interesting about tea, and I don't think I've gone as far as you've gone, but I've definitely had my stretches where I've been like, okay, I'm gonna go more tea and less coffee. Is tea has a marijuana-like quality to it where there's different types that you can do for different settings. Like the expression, different strokes for different folks.
Sure do.
It's like different teas for different me's.
I like that.
Right? If you want to do a... like that, you could do indica or you could do sativa or whatever. You could get different things out of it. When you're drinking coffee, you're pretty much drinking coffee, or if you're a total weirdo, and I have been this weirdo before, sometimes you do decaf. Yeah. But tea is more, there's like the expectation that it does not have caffeine in it, but there are teas that do have caffeine in it, and they're very strong teas. And if you're a tea guy, you've probably got a different tea for every different me that exists. And that I realize this sounds very Andy Bernard closet full of me.
I have several different kinds of teas. It is funny though, like you just mentioned decaf, and like that would have been the easy solution to my problem.
Sure.
But decaf just does not exist in my world. I didn't even think about that for a second.
It's just so weird. Decaf is for, at least in my experience, when I've felt like I've got a borderline addiction to coffee, where I'm just so used to drinking coffee and I want to drink it every 5 seconds. That's when you get into decaf. But tea is very interesting. I do like the marijuana CBD sort, or like marijuana. I think that like tea would be the CBD of that comparison, and that's what it is to me. Like I wanted the sensation or like the calming effect of doing that at night, but not get like the quote unquote high that comes with coffee. A tea that I really like, and this is bagged. You can get it anywhere, probably from your Bigelow, or what's the other big company?
Nestea.
No, that's some
Lipton.
like Coca-Cola shit, man. With Bigelow, and there's another one that's
Is Earl Grey like a type of? It's a type of tea, I believe.
Earl
right?
Grey is a type. Earl Grey is a type of tea. Back in my rapping days, a bar I wrote. Don't have anything recorded. Don't have anything out there, so you can't look for it. But I liked the lyric. I hit the club in a black tea. Call me Earl Grey, because Earl Grey is a type of black tea.
Yes,
because back in the day, I don't know if folks will remember this. Maybe the early aughts, probably before then. It was before the early aughts. The late like 2000 through 2010. A lot of rap was about just wearing T-shirts, right? They would just say like, "Oh, in my I slang in my white tee, I bang."
Yeah, well, I mean, like a lot of like the old school rap was just about like a lot of just like. I mean, I guess it's technically kind of true now, but like a lot of just like popular things in like pop culture and like fashion and stuff. There's Air Force Ones,
sure, but there was a time that they were really focused on T-shirts, primarily white T-shirts and black T-shirts.
I got to tell you,
just
though,
a very
man,
clean look.
I somehow feel like they're kind of underrated, but like white T-shirts pop.
Yes, I did a white T-shirt. It didn't look very good on me because I'm getting out of control with my weight. But I did I went to a wedding this past weekend, and the welcome party was smart casual.
Did you do white tee under a blazer or a jacket?
I did white tee with a suit and white sneaks.
That probably looked fucking amazing. Like
it was a very sophisticated look.
This is gonna sound so fucking basic or whatever, but like, don't sleep on white tees. Like,
it
looks
not.
amazing with just like almost anything. I think we've talked about this before, but like white tees and jeans.
Oh yeah,
unbelievable.
It's things are cliches for a reason, man. You know, things are overdone for a reason. That just always
throw a little white tee under some layers.
Oh yeah.
Don't wear a white tee under a dress shirt.
No, definitely not.
That's like an easy indicator of like, wow, this guy doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I've got one look I really want to start being able to pull off, but again, I've got to decrease the belly just a tad. I've got a cream-colored cardigan, and it's got no buttons or anything. It just kind of falls on you. A very Larry
Flowy.
David type of thing that he would wear, and that with a white tee really, really looks good.
Hell yeah.
So I don't think you guys are ready. We certainly weren't ready for it. I think that we knew that we were going to be speaking with an enlightened person, but this was just an incredibly thoughtful dude. Paul Samuel Dolman will toss it to him as he teaches us about Martha's Vineyard and ourselves.
When you think Maine, you think Stephen King. When you think Martha's Vineyard, you think this next man. It's Paul Samuel Dolman, author of Hitchhiking with Larry David, An Accidental Tourist Summer of Self-Discovery in Martha's Vineyard. Among other things, he also has a podcast called What Matters Most. I would say that he would qualify as a notable Martha's Vineyard resident. Paul, welcome.
I am honored to be here, and that is the first and probably the only time in my life I'll be in the same sentence compared to Stephen King. Stephen, if you're listening, I hope you and your attorneys will be kind.
We actually have several more Stephen King references coming up, so it should be a fun time. How would you describe Martha's Vineyard? And I believe you have made it your home, correct?
It is my summer home. I'm a migratory creature, much like the geese who I watch. When they go south, I follow the sun. I'm currently a few blocks from the beach in a place called Anastasia Island, which is sort of like a portal in the Harry Potter series, but it's gorgeous south of St. Augustine Beach. How would I describe Martha's Vineyard? It is like no other place in the world. It is sort of idyllic. There are no traffic lights. There are no billboards. There's no corporate stores. There's like a Dairy Queen that looks like an old cabin. And they have the Stop and Shop for food. But other than that, it's wide open. It's pastoral. It's colonial. And it's funky. Oak Bluffs has its own funk. So has to be seen to be believed. And they're going to kill me because they don't want more people coming, because it's quite the scene in June, July, and August. But the fall is gorgeous, too, if you want to come.
Well, I'll tell you, if they don't want more people coming, they're going to hate this music festival that's coming up in July, because there's going to be people flocking to that place. Great music festival, Beach Road Weekend.
Tell me about that. What is it?
Well, we're glad you asked, Paul. It is a music festival in its second year, I believe, on Martha's Vineyard. Do you say on or in Martha's Vineyard?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question.
I used to mess that one up, too. It's on, I guess, because it's an island.
Okay, on Martha's Vineyard. Now, last year, it featured, I forget who, I think Phil Lesh was in the mix, which is pretty cool. So, right, so like some jam bandy type of stuff. And this year, they really leaned into it. Honestly, I think maybe spent a little more of that Martha's Vineyard money, if you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And they got Beck, Lake Street Dive, Norah Jones, Father John Misty to do a solo performance. And as you know, Father John Misty doesn't have a lot of dates this year. So to get Father John Misty is a pretty big one. It also features Guster for those who lived in the 1990s. The Head and the Heart, Margot Price. There's a special guest up on the third line, and I'm sure you worked in the music industry, correct?
I did, but don't hold it against me. And by the way, hearing this lineup, I'm getting like some cool backstage pass to this, right?
Definitely. I feel like you'd be able to anyway. I've watched some interviews with you. You've got a very charming air about you, if I may say that. I feel like you could do the same sort of thing that we're doing, which is just trying to speak into existence that, all right, we're now a part of this. We will be involved in this.
I also feel like if anybody spent we've spent like 5 minutes with you at this point. I feel like if anybody spent 5 minutes with you, they'd let you do anything you wanted.
I love you guys. So here's the plan for the three of us. If we can't get the passes legit, we'll sneak in.
Yeah, that would be so cool. My parents have all those stories like that. They're like, oh, game 4 of the 1986 World Series or whatever. That's a bad example. They were probably older than that. But like they'll just say that like all you had to do was like stand by a trash can, and then when the one guard that was assigned to the entire stadium looked away, you walked in. And I was like, well, I would get shot if I did that these days.
Well, here's the deal. One, if you get shot, the other two of us will go in. We'll have a good time. We'll dedicate it to you. But take heart. No one has ever been shot and killed on Martha's Vineyard that I know of, but that could be your claim to fame.
Well, that I guess will bring us to an anecdote from Hitchhiking with Larry David. And we don't want to make this all about Hitchhiking with Larry David because not everybody has read it, because not everybody is a smart person. I did find it very interesting that when you're hitchhiking, which first of all, wild, could not even be close to me.
Wait, so quick sidebar. Would you hitchhike anywhere other than Martha's Vineyard?
Good question.
In America, no, of course, because everybody has an AR or whatever. Shoot first, ask questions later. I have hitchhiked in Ireland, Scotland, and Switzerland, in the gentler countries of Europe. But as a rule, I'm not out there like on Highway 7. Unless I decide I don't want to be here anymore. I think it might be an interesting way to go.
So, and I'm sorry to get into a story that you probably told a million times. You're hitchhiking. Larry David, was he in the Prius at that point?
No, which is interesting. He had the Subaru wagon, if I recall. I think he has the Prius back in L.A. Okay. And like we know, for the many who have read the book and the many who hopefully will read the book, he pulled over, and that's the first time he's ever given a hitchhiker a ride. And he said, "Hop in." And should I go from there? And he did ask me an interesting question once I got in.
Well, he said you're not a serial killer, right? And you had like in an all-time quip said, even if I were, I'm on Martha's Vineyard, so I ain't working, which has got to be the coolest thing anyone's ever said when meeting probably the most intimidating presence in the world.
I got very lucky that just popped out. It shows that a lifetime of being a smartass, which most of my teachers said would never pay off, actually did pay off.
I was just about to say, that's such like a music executive sort of thing. I bet like
an investment banker would never make that remark.
Yeah.
No, because the investment banker would be driving like the Mercedes convertible. He'd have his own car. He wouldn't be broke.
I never said he was a good investment banker.
Yeah.
Oh, that. Well, and he wouldn't be honest either because he couldn't. You can't do Wall Street and be honest. It's like Bernie said.
Pardon the attitude behind this question, but you must be like comfortable in your own skin, and that frustrates me because I'm an absolute nightmare of a person. Can't sleep at night. You seem like you're comfortable, like you borderline might even have peace of mind.
It's an excellent observation, lad, and I've been sent here from a galaxy far away to help you, and I will get to that in a moment. Now, I wasn't always comfortable in my own skin, and it's a process, but I have come to become very comfortable in my own skin, and we could talk about it more later, but the big life-changing thing for me was meditation, which if I went back in time and saw myself and said that you one day will meditate, myself from a long time ago would say two things. Well, a couple. First, he wouldn't believe it, that he would ever be a meditator. And then he would probably look at me and go, God, you look really old. What happened to us?
What are the cool spots of Martha's Vineyard?
Oh, God, there's so many. Well, if you want social and people watching, there are two good spots. There's Edgartown, like Main Street down by the dock. That's sort of, it looks like it's out of Disney. It's quintessential New England, the white houses, the whaling things, everything. And then there's Oak Bluffs, which is funky. Now, at one time, all the African Americans were only allowed to go there. Yeah, America, wow. Right? Yeah, white supremacist America. Not much has changed. So there's that, which is more of a funky town of color, but the races mix easily there because it's a long time. And then those are the two places to kind of hang out. A cool spot that people watch up Island is a little place called the Chilmark Store that has great pizza that I wrote about in the book. And you can sit on that porch. I've sat on that porch and talked to Bill Murray. Had lunch with Larry on that porch a couple times, and Harold Ramis, God bless him, he's gone, who created Ghostbusters and Groundhog Day, and also many other just regular, non-famous life forms who were just really kind.
Well, we're primarily interested in the famous life forms, so we're trying to go there, see a lot of music, probably become friends with Father John Misty, which I think that could potentially make us his first friends, and really just come away changed like you. So it sounds like Oak Bluffs. Oak Bluffs sounds like maybe mostly our speed. You kept saying funky. It made me think of maybe an Austin, Texas of New England. Not trying to put words in your mouth, but I like the idea of visiting the Austin, Texas of New England.
Cool. And all right, so let's flip this. Why do you not feel comfortable in your skin? You're obviously got a great voice. You're a good interviewer. You have enough guts to create a podcast. You reached out to me and said, let's do this. Of course, I said yes. It's one of my great mantras, like from the Hitchhiking book.
Or in the Jim Carrey movie, Yes Man, which wasn't that bad.
No, it wasn't.
Perhaps, Paul, it was a poor choice of words on my part. I think the only thing that I do have is that I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm very neurotic, and I, like everybody else, I'm a depressed, anxious person. But as far as letting one's freak flag fly, I know that I'm an eccentric, annoying person, but I like those qualities about me, and I lean into them. And I find that as I've grown, people are more drawn to, hey, this person has quirks and embraces what's different about them. And I've, for most of my life, I never really struggled with that. And I think that it's now becoming en vogue to, hey, if something's different about you, to actually lean into that. And being now I'm like,
and I also think that, like, not to jump in here and speak for you, but I think that you're more comfortable appealing to people who get you than trying to appeal to people who don't get you.
That is very true. That might, you know what? Maybe I have something in common with your friend Larry David, because he used to, in his stand-up days, he used to heckle the audience. He would tell a joke that he knew was funny, and if they wouldn't laugh, he would scream at them, because he was like, these are the wrong people. This is funny. you guys don't know what funny is.
I like the idea of like me and Paul here teaming up to kind of like figure out what's your deal.
Well, you sent me that secret email that said that's what we were going to do. That's why I came on.
Yes.
Here we go.
How's the interview going so far, you think, Paul?
So far, I like it. It feels like an intervention, but it's fun.
Cool. You're a podcast host yourself. I wonder what it's like for you being interviewed by somebody, because Pete and I will jump on podcasts and stuff for our respective jobs or shows or whatever it may be. And as an asker of questions ourselves, sometimes when you're being asked questions, you just want to be like, yo, just give me the mic. Let me go.
This is fun for me. I have a show called What Matters Most. We've done over 650 of these, and the guests have yet to figure. I know. And all these unbelievable people keep coming on the show. It's mind-boggling. We've had the president of Mexico, Vicente Fox, spiritual leaders like Simon. Marianne Williamson's been on a ton. She was running for president. Andrew Yang, who's really cool.
Wow, Andrew Yang is really cool. Not to get political for a second, I wouldn't have voted for him, but he made a very good impression on me.
I wouldn't have voted for him either. I like Bernie or Elizabeth. Bernie first, but Yang came on a few times. He was funny and fun.
You fucking rule, man.
I can't believe it's the Ask You Never Know, and then Garrison Keillor and music folks. I just did Peter Yarrow from Peter, Paul and Mary way before your time. Probably. Well,
no. That's awesome. That's very cool.
He wrote Puff the Magic Dragon. We stayed up. We did it started 11:30. We were up yak until 1 a.m. And it's just fun. I'm curious. I think if you're listening to this, be curious, ask questions, keep an open heart and mind, keep your thumb out, say yes, and you're going to have an incredible life. And to take a cue from you, don't hang out with the people that don't get you. Find your tribe and your crew, people that like who you are, maybe a little nonconformist, and go have a great life. I think conformity.
I'm a bit of badass.
Yeah, be a badass. I think conformity, you don't want to be another brick in the wall. I mean, go out and have your unique experience. You're hurtling through space. You're only here once, even if you are reincarnated. You're not going to be you again, thank God. And so go have a good time.
What a guest.
I feel like I read the book, and this is one of the things that I loved about the book. Like, while reading the book, I felt like you were kind of just vibing as you were writing the book, and that's what made it so easy to fly through.
Yeah.
And now it's just, I feel like you're just vibing. You're a guy who just vibes, and it's always good vibes. I love that.
Oh, I love you guys. I am a guy that's just vibing. I don't know shit. I don't have a plan. If I try to make a plan, the universe blows it to smithereens. So I just keep saying, what do you want me to do next? The book, I swear this is true. He picks me up. We have this incredible adventure throughout the summer. It's a love story about the vineyard, about my parents, about life, and of course with this beautiful woman, the miracle. And then the last night of that summer on my life, I have a dream, and in it, I'm at a theater, and the universe says, why don't you write a book called Hitchhiking with Larry David? Swear to God. I woke up, wrote it on a little piece of paper that I still have in a drawer in the vineyard, walked around with it in my pocket for about 2 or 3 weeks going, shit, can I write a book? How do you write a book? So I just started to write. And this thing came out, and then as I was writing it, I just thought I was writing. I never thought it'd be a book. I never thought it'd be a huge bestseller. They might make it into a movie. We'll see. I hope I get invited if they do, and that they actually send me the check. And then, but it's all been a you got to be kidding me ride. And then I put it out, and look at I'm yakking with a couple new buddies. It's all over the world. I got a note from Australia once or twice, and Europe, and the book seems to touch something in people. And so I feel grateful. I was the mailman. I don't know how I did it. I just sort of was standing at the right spot like a sundial, and it just happened. But it was a lot of work, but it was fun.
You bare your soul in that book. Really, you do. And I think that's people just like that. People like getting a little glimpse into somebody's life, a little glimpse into how somebody feels,
especially at a really vulnerable
time. Exactly. And I wonder, that can't always feel good. I'm sure it felt therapeutic, but I would imagine that your most commonly asked question, other than something about Larry, I'm sure that naturally people want to know about the miracle, and then you have to maybe discuss something that in that moment you don't want to necessarily discuss. So was there any was were there negatives to being that honest and to sharing that much of yourself?
Wow, what a great question. You guys, all seriousness, are really good. I do this for a living on What Matters Most. You guys are good interviewers. That's a great question, and the way you phrased it, no one's asked me that. Yes, well, first, we're going to just rewind a tiny bit. So I'm writing this thing, and a couple times I thought, wow, this is like so honest and real and raw. And I thought to myself, it doesn't matter, no one will ever read it. So I kept going. And then the night before it came out, I thought, holy shit, what have you done? It was too late then. So I thought, well, there's a freedom and transparency. And two, again, I thought, well, probably 9 people who know me will read it. And you don't even know if it's good when it's your own. And then it's all over the world. And I think you did hit it on a key, because by being so honest, so vulnerable, especially during the hard things, it gave people to write me these notes, which I could make a book out of. I've gotten countless, 1,000 maybe. I printed some of them for my parents, love to read them. It just so authentic. They're like, oh, you shared your heart. Let me tell you my story. So that created a community. Some of those people became good friends. I've got invites all over the world. Hey, if you're ever here, I'd love to take you hitchhiking, or we can have a cup of coffee. And then, so there's that. And yeah, everyone asks about the miracle. And at first I started to write, everybody a personal note back, and it was too hard. We didn't make it, sadly. But then I thought, I can't do that. So I tried a couple cut and pastes, like I'm going to save that one good answer. And that felt dishonest. So I literally wrote a second book, because I've got countless emails. What happened next? And then a third. The second book was Martha's Vineyard Miracles. It's the whole thing, how Larry loved the book, Larry read the book, and all these other, how the book broke big. The third book is called 7 Crazy Days in Maui. And then I ended up in Beverly Hills trying to be Mr. Film producer, working with Mickey Rourke and some other big stars. Put on that costume for a little while and decided, nah, that's not me. Took it off, gave it back to the Goodwill, and now here I am talking to you cats.
That's super cool. And not to get into like relationship talk or anything, and I have no idea because I did not read the follow-up books. You seem like the kind of guy, I always get mad when people treat a past relationship as like, it didn't work out, therefore that's a bad person, or I was a bad person, or whatever. I like to look back on things that didn't necessarily work out as like, that was a good thing, and there was a good thing that simply came to an end. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, now I do. You're obviously more advanced than me. You don't need to meditate. I need to keep meditating. It took me a while, because the ego first wanted to make her wrong. It's her fault. And then I had to own the fact that it was a partnership, both in its beauty and its bad, the destruction of it. I look more towards myself for what I didn't bring to it. I didn't have the level that I needed to with this beautiful person who I love more than ever. If she ever hears this, I have nothing but the greatest love for her, and I always will. I'm so grateful, because here's how I met her. I, again, say yes. A guy, I used to be in the music business, wanted to play me songs. I always said yes. He lived in San Diego. Songs were okay. He ended up becoming a friend. He used to stay. I had this big house in the woods in Nashville. Why not? I got plenty of room. Later on, I get out of the music business. He's house sitting this mansion in San Diego on the ocean in Del Mar. I go out there for a few days, I think. And that's in the days of MySpace, before you guys were born. And it was a big thing. It's like a lost civilization. So I put on a blog. Oh, I'm in Del Mar. It's gorgeous. And a gal who had read my blogs, she goes, I live like 4 miles away. I love your stuff. You want to have coffee? I said, yes. Again, another yes. And then we have this great talk. She goes, you got to meet my roommate. And that became the miracle. And we ended up having this beautiful relationship. And unfortunately, it was like Icarus. We flew too close to the sun and we crashed. But like you wisely said, it was the greatest gift that ever happened. And you have to just accept that life has things, and sometimes you learn the hard way and the beautiful way, the good way, and sometimes you learn the loving, pleasant way. So, but that's called humanity and being human, and there's no escaping it. And why would we want to? Here we are. But if she ever hears this, I adore her. The second book is hard because everyone wanted book 2, like more Hitchhiking with Larry David, or if it was the Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Other Hand now. I mean, people there's like 19 Fast and Furious movies, because God forbid we do something new and creative, we'd have to use our brain. But, so give me more of the same. I don't want to think. Give me my big gulp. And so this is, but to get back to your core point, it was beautiful catharsis to write it, to share it, and everything that comes along, good, bad, or indifferent, is for our greater good. And we just have to embrace the gift and see what the gift has to give us and teach us.
If glasses were sold that allowed one to see the world through your lens, man, I would buy 1,000 and 1,000 more as backups, just in case.
I also think
there's the idea.
Yeah, that's the $1 million idea.
I also think like a big part of like why I and so many other people like this book is like, I bet so many people have the fantasy of like when they're like experiencing some rough times or feeling really vulnerable, like just dropping everything and sort of like aimlessly wandering around until something finds them or they find something. And like, I feel like I probably wouldn't have the balls or whatever you want to say to like to do that. Or to like to have that sort of like freedom or disattached to everything in their lives for at least a little period of time. And you did that, and it led to something amazing that changed your life.
Well, and you really nail it. And I would encourage everyone listening, sometimes if what you're doing isn't working, or for me in the music business, I was printing money, but I was so bored I was going to hang myself. And I had to step back without knowing the next thing, because my mind kept saying, what's next? What's next? Then what? Why would we stop? We're making good money. That's the American religion. So I broke from that. And I just think it's essential to get off the wheel like John Lennon did, and watching the wheels go round and round. And just, you had to let it go. Obviously, he let a lot more go as a Beatle. But you step back and you take a breather. You get out of the matrix. You get off the carnival wheel and you take stock. And then you go, hey, it's okay. Maybe you'll write a book or you'll start a business. There's a million ideas. I think it's important. And I'm so glad I did. I had no idea it would end up the way it did. It's a great, great unfolding. But I think it's a good idea because it goes by so fast. And sometimes you're climbing the ladder and then you get to the top and it's the wrong wall or whatever. You just think, what did I do? So take stock. You're young or at any age. So many people I know have so much money, but they just can't stop what they're doing, even though they hate it. It's like a compulsive behavior. They're terrified of the unknown that their mind needs to know. And that's sadly a terminal disease.
So you just said that in the music industry, you were so bored you're going to hang yourself. So, of course, going to follow up with asking how cool it was to be in the music industry. I know that you were an executive in the music industry. I don't know exactly what you did, but in trying to find out, I saw that there was a connection between you and one of my weird idols, David Foster.
Yeah.
So, like, you know and are friends with David Foster?
I knew him and we were friendly. If he saw me right now, he would probably remember me. He might also say, God, you got a lot older, which is a sad recurring theme. No, and it's funny. I knew two David Fosters. One, the film producer, sadly, who just passed away, who was a film mentor who did The Getaway and The Mask of Zorro and some other great films. But the music producer, David Foster, when I was just a lowly nobody and just starting out in the music business, he came to this multi-million-dollar studio our company had built to record some music for a film. And everybody was like, don't talk to him, don't look at him. I didn't know if that was like biblical, if I would turn to a pillar of salt or something. So in a very funny, trying to get fired, smart-assy way, I've never told anyone this story on the air. Here's the end of my career. I put in the bathroom a sign with an arrow, and it said, David Foster shit here. And so,
that's
like,
awesome.
with a heart next to it, and then I'd watch, and he went in there, and he fucking laughed his ass off, came out with the sign, and said, who the fuck put this here? And I said, I did, Your Highness. And it was a bonding moment. And I thought, all right, these guys are going to, if the boss man had found out, he might have fired me. Actually, the main boss loved me, so I could do no wrong. And we're still friends all these years later. So David, and then me and my young, infinite, ignorant wisdom said, hey, man, I'm thinking of coming out to L.A. someday. I'd never been. If I ever do, can I give you a call? I mean, what the fuck?
What?
So
may I ask what year this was? Or like,
roughly?
Yeah,
that would have been, I'm not good with years and time. Let's see, probably 86, 87. So he was huge.
Yeah, that is prime. He was like
Foster. At the height. No, that's why we were not, supposedly, he didn't say it, but they were like, don't even look at him and shit. And he shows up in his customary warm-up pants and everything. Of course, I played piano, so I knew every song he did, every note for note. I wasn't that good, but I could play his shit. I still play. I played professionally for a long time before I got into the business side of it, which ruins everything. So he said, yeah, definitely call, because we'd had this cool rapport. So he gives me a number. And sure enough, this company collapses because of the guy who was in. One guy was like terrible. They give me a pile of money. So I wander out to L.A. to sleep on some couches because some people in Nashville slept on my couch. By the way, this is long before I made any money. I had like the tiniest shithole apartment ever. Mm-hmm. I was coming up. So, and this is my dumbness. It was like a Saturday. And so I called the number thinking I'll leave a message because it was probably like the business. And I go, hello, and somebody picks up and goes, hello. And I said, hello, is David around? He said, this is David. And I just blurted out, wait, you gave me your home number? And he's like, yeah,
big mistake,
who's this?
pal.
He's like, who's this? And I was, it's like Almost Famous where I wanted to go, oh, this is William, when he did his voice deeper. So I said, oh, hey, you probably don't remember me. This is Paul Dolman. I was back at 16th Avenue Sound. I was the tall. He said, yeah, the tall, funny guy. And he's like, yeah. I said, yeah. He said, what's up? I said, I came out and you gave me the number. And he said, oh, how cool. He said, what are you up to today? And I said, nothing. He said, you want to come hang at the studio? I'm getting the test pressing back on my new record, and it's got the Winter Olympic theme on it. I'd love to hear what you think. I think I fainted, and then when I woke back up, he's like, hello, you there? And then so I got back. I said, yeah. So I drive out to Malibu, and spent a day at his place hanging. Like, he had a white piano in there. I think Streisand called, Burt Bacharach, some other folks.
Jesus.
It's in heaven, man. The guy was so freaking cool. And then at times I'd run into him or talk to him. And I remember once I was at a movie theater with my girlfriend in Nashville, and there he was with Linda Thompson, who he's married to at the time. And he's like, hey, what's up? And we start talking. And he had taken time off. He got burnt out. He stopped. And I said, what are you up to these days? Because he was maybe going to produce films. And he said, well, I kind of got back in. And I said, what are you working on? He's like, well, I'm doing Whitney Houston, Streisand, Peter Cetera. And then I couldn't help myself. So I said, I couldn't help myself. I said, any big names? And so he burst out laughing. And then I ended up going to the BMI Awards with him and his family. And I sat next to his mother. I'll always remember this. And I asked her a million questions about what he was like growing up and everything. It was really, really cool. And then I saw him once in Malibu. And I don't have the number now, and I would never call him up. If I saw him, I would hope he'd remember me. But he's a great guy. But in the music business, what I did after that, I wandered around again. I went out west in L.A. and then came back and started a company that basically just tried to put people together. That's all I knew to do. So, and it worked. It took a while, but it worked.
That's super cool. What I love about David Foster is there's a lot of producers, especially nowadays, where you hear a song and for example, like, well, this was produced by Jack Antonoff, and you can just hear a lot of things that maybe like habits that certain producers fall into. But there are a couple producers, and David Foster is one of them, that just in their majesty, you hear how big and massive and how great the song is, that you're like, only David Foster, like David Foster and Mutt Lange are probably like the only two I can think of where you're like, this had to have been done by David Foster. And basically like the most grand 80s sounding things were done by David Foster, which is pretty nuts because everybody was trying to do the biggest, craziest stuff in the 80s. Obviously, that's kind of what the 80s are known for. So we just discussed that, like, sometimes you climb up a wall and you find that it was the wrong one. To quote one Miley Cyrus, or to paraphrase one Miley Cyrus, there is a lot of, like, virtue in climbing up a wall, though, you know? Of, like, pursuing these things, even if the end result isn't exactly what you wanted. Like, it's super cool that in your pursuit of the music industry, you end up forging this relationship and having these incredible stories. And I'm sure you wouldn't trade those for anything.
No, and it's in the climbing. Miley's right. She's a great oracle of wisdom here. And I never thought in my life I'd say that sentence. So someday, compared with Seneca and Socrates, the great Miley Cyrus, tattoo queen. I knew her dad, Billy Ray, by the way. So that's another story. But I worked with everybody back in there then. And it might have been even if I was serving them drinks and I was doing a banquet waiting gig. So, but we won't go there. But you're right. It's in the climbing. And I'm going to tell you guys a couple secrets here and your audience. How to be happy. Just enjoy the process. There is no there. That's bullshit. That's a lie. You never get there. And if you do, you get bummed out because you're done. You get there when you're done here. So enjoy the process and don't try to make it anywhere. Just have fun. If you want to do music, love playing music. I wrote a book because it's fun. I've written 6 now. It was fun to do it. It's hard. But I didn't write it so I would become something bigger, or people, in high school would say I should have been nicer to him, or something stupid. Or get more likes or followers. Just go do it for love and fun, because in the end, nothing outside of yourself ever gives you anything. It just activates a feeling inside of yourself. So rather than go to all that trouble, just activate the feeling in the process. Have fun. Have fun with this. Say yes. Get out there.
That's such good advice, because everybody always chases this thing that they have, like this vision of in their head. And when you get there, and even if you do get there or you don't get there, but even when you do get there, it's oftentimes not what you thought it would be.
You never want to get there. You want to keep it a moving target, and I think that it can be easy to just once you get arrive at this thing and say, well, now I don't have peace of mind, or now I don't have as much money as I want, or now I don't have everything I want. And if my brain was making everything about this and achieving it didn't give me everything, was it worth it? And that's where we get to my buddy, depression. And I think that as long as, I don't know, always have multiple things, always, always keep it a moving target, and never, it's like you wouldn't go to the gym and say, hey, I want to be able to bench press 150 pounds. And then once you bench press 150,
I'm done.
You say, all right, my body's all done. No, now you want to keep it going, which was a very strange reference for me to make. I could have used different examples.
Well, I mean, McConaughey said that during his Oscar speech too. I think it was his Oscar speech a couple of years ago, where he was like, 10 years ago, I said I hope that my idol would be me in 10 years.
Oh, right.
And now that I'm here, I know that's never going to be true, because I'm always going to be wanting more. I'm always going to be wanting to do something else, and I'm never going to be satisfied with who I am right now. And I think that's it's like a good way to look at things, but also enjoy, like Paul said, just enjoy the process and don't be so bogged down with trying to get somewhere else.
What kind of music? What kind of music you listen to, Paul?
It sounds cliche.
That's a very big,
but I have always loved just great songs, even back in the day when I did it, or in all different venues. If I hear something, even if I not crazy about a band or a lot of what they do or an artist, but that one thing is like, whoa, that's great. I'm all over the spectrum. I play piano still for fun, not professionally, and I'll play everything. How do you not love a song just from the writing for Somewhere Over the Rainbow or Moon River?
Yeah.
And then the Beatles. Beatles are my all-time favorite.
Same.
There's something, I mean, they're on Mount Rushmore. They're at another level, and they basically inspired everybody who goes up there. But I like Prince, and Madonna's got some good stuff. I used to love Foster's stuff. Adele is crushing it. There's a country song every now and again that's just like, whoa, this is just good. And even I still don't mind Chopin's nocturnes and something from Beethoven like Moonlight Sonata, classic Irish folk music. I'm all over the map. But music, I put it on every day. Like this morning, though, I was listening to Peter, Paul, and Mary because I just interviewed Peter. And I'm like, the songs are beautiful. Blowing in the Wind by Dylan and Leaving on a Jet Plane written by John Denver and 500 Miles, an old sad folk tune. I'll take it. I can't imagine not living without music. That'd be the saddest thing.
Yeah, because, I mean, in speaking to you, I get some... You want to listen to a song and then hit pause halfway through it and have a half an hour discussion about what's working in the song and why it's speaking to you, which is an annoying thing that I'll do with my friends. But also I'm getting some, like, you could put on a jam band, smoke some weed, and turn your brain off.
Yeah, just get out. Just drop out for a while. I mean, and I'll tell you the cool thing about meditation is it'll do exactly that for you too. And all you do, for everyone saying, well, what's meditation? Because I just answered this question on another show I did. Meditation is just simply closing your eyes, sitting in a chair. You don't have to be uncomfortable or try to act like a Buddha. Just watch your thoughts. Just watch your thoughts. And they will be absolutely insane. They'll also be inspiring. They'll be creative. Just watch them like clouds or cars going by. Oh, okay. And then here's the cheat code. You understand that what you are, not who, because you're not a who. What you really are is watching. That's the watching thing. That's the thing that came in. That's the thing that goes out. That's the one that just observes everything. That's the one that gets lost in the craziness when we completely forget and we think we're three scrounging life forms here trying to pay the rent and date the girl or, just get from point A to B, make the next green light. I mean, we can really dial this thing into the micro. But really, we're this essence, this cool thing that's roaming and wandering beyond time. And a fraction of it happens to be right here as me, you, and you having a conversation. And isn't that fun? Because if we didn't fracture ourselves, we couldn't do this. We'd all just be some infinite light without time. And apparently that got boring. So they created polarity, or it did, and deliberately forgot itself. So it could watch an orange imbecile make a fool of himself every day on TV and then laugh or be scared of it.
Yeah, that guy sucks. Paul Samuel Dolman.
You like the way I tied that in? A little bit of subtle, little shade on the orange one, the orange menace.
Yeah. And Lord, forgive me, I'm about to get political for a second.
Please, you are forgiven, my son. Father, what's his name? The musician will forgive.
Father John Misty, that's right.
Yeah,
you said,
Father, what's his name?
You said exactly earlier on the way I've approached the selection, which is I like Bernie and I like Warren, and I do prefer Bernie. It is. Are you at all frustrated by the infighting and some Bernie supporters obviously will say, well, if you like Warren, you're evil. And I've gotten a sense that a lot of Warren supporters will tell you, if you like Bernie, you're evil. And that just doesn't really jive with the sort of positive energy we're trying to put out there as we find our replacement to the orange imbecile.
Like, in general, in life now, like everybody has to pick one thing and endorse everything about that one thing. Where I just feel like at some point it's been lost that like you can like this guy or you can like Elizabeth Warren, you can like this woman, but not stand for like all of their policies.
Yes.
You say, I wish that they would change this something, or like I'm willing to concede this thing just to meet in the middle for like the greater good. And for some reason, nobody fucking does that anymore.
There's definitely things about Warren that I prefer to Bernie. And there are things about Bernie that I don't think are perfect. But I don't know. I've never in my life been like, this candidate is absolutely everything I want. Now, so we're getting to maybe too political. I don't know if anyone cares about that, but I don't know. I just felt refreshed by you saying like I really enjoy both Bernie and Warren, and I prefer one of them. And let's just have some nice positive vibes and energy, and just take the Dolman approach to life. You said something was this cool thing, and in my notes I just wrote down Paul Samuel Dolman. You're this cool thing. It's been great speaking to you. Are you around late July? Are you gonna be on
I'll
the
be
Vineyard?
there. I'll be there, and I want to go back because I'm glad you brought up politics. If we don't talk politically or if we avoid it, it's like saying we're on a big ship like the Titanic, but we're all going to avoid the captain's thing, and it'll just find its way. We'll leave it to fate. We're going to end up on the iceberg or on the rocks. And by the way, both of what you said about politics and candidates is beautiful. It's intelligent and nuanced. You're not part of a cult that wears a red hat and marches with mouths open, breathing, lockstep. Like some zombie apocalypse. What you said was beautiful. And by the way, don't trust what the online bullshit, because 99% of that could be robots trying to start fights. Here's the thing. And the infighting is because television is a total piece of shit that turns everything into Jerry Springer, Honey Boo Boo meets, some other bullshit Survivor. Vote them off the island crapola, and the questions are inane and stupid, and people's attention span is shorter than the average gnat. So, and I mean that in a nice sort of positive way. But I mean, let's get political because, hey, the fucking planet is on fire, and if we don't do something about it, the young folks are going to be living in a bad Mel Gibson movie or something, so let's, and by the way, come on. Why can't we have what every other industrialized country has? College education that's free and affordable. That's good for everybody. Medical that's free and affordable for everybody, right? Somehow we have $800 billion a year to pour down the defense budget toilet to build shit so a few people get rich and we can blow up other countries' brown people. Or we could take care of things here and then everybody wins. There shouldn't be hungry babies. Prison shouldn't be full of people of color who happen to be caught with a doobie while Wall Street cleans out everybody's pension fund. Gets a bonus. Come on, we could do this. I'm not talking about flying backwards with our eyes closed. I'm not talking about defying physics. It's like if we didn't have jet planes in this country, but they did in Europe, and we were saying, why can't we have jets? And they say, you want to fly? That's insane. Come on. A moron to the world awake. All right, that's my political creed in this time. And please, God, anyone who listens to this, I don't care who the fuck you vote for, but sign up and vote. And if you're stupid enough to vote for Trump, God bless you. I'm going to pray for your healing. Bless your heart.
That is an underrated thing. I'm not big into that praying thing you were talking about, but I was also like, I hope people get better. Like I hope the people who did vote for Trump could recognize their mistake, probably feel extremely terrible about it, and see what they can do to get better. But I'll say this, man, you're not even ready for the hug that you're going to get from us when we all meet in late July.
So awesome.
Dude, yeah, when you were saying all that stuff, like Pete and I were high-fiving, we're doing finger guns at each other, we're dancing around, like you're just our speed, man.
Let's do this thing. Come on. All right, and by the way, we're going to have fun. And honestly, anyone who is following the cult, they got there because of their life. So I don't hate them. If I had their life too, and God only knows what it was, I would be exactly like them. I'm not a superior life form. Granted, I come from another star in another galaxy, XR9. And we're not allowed to lie about that. But all life forms throughout the multi-galaxies are equal, as the creed is on XR. So go within, go without. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff. I just did a show on Sirius 7, not the Sirius Radio, but Sirius, literally the stars.
Oh, Sirius.
Excellent show on cosmic reality and the quantum fields. But that's a whole other intergalactic subject. Who am I to be yakking about that? I'm looking forward to hanging with my brothers in July.
Yo, you're the fucking man. I can't even... Like, I know what you look like, and I can hear your voice and everything, but, like, you don't even fucking exist, man. Like, how... Yeah... How does something like you even happen? You're the best.
Please don't listen to like the intro to this interview when the episode comes out, because it's just going to be us like shamelessly gushing over you for like 20 minutes.
Yes.
When is it going to come out? Will it come out in my lifetime, or is this a posthumous type of show thing?
Actually, we're not even recording. We just did this for us to just talk to you.
I would say I've done actually 1,100 shows. We've only put 600 out. A lot of them I just record. No, I'm kidding.
No, this will be out tomorrow.
Oh, my God. The immediacy of youth.
Oh, yes.
There it is. And I want to apologize for not shaving, but hey, I didn't know it was going to be so amazing.
Dude, Amazing times. Thank you so much, Paul Samuel Dolman. If everybody doesn't want to read all your shit after this, I'm not even going to plug your shit, because if everybody doesn't want to check out more of your stuff after this, then they're no friends of ours. I'll tell you that. And I think that the Bruntouchables, which is our fan base, there's dozens of them, will really want to dig your stuff. So very, very cool. Thank you so much for talking to us. Like, I feel better about life. I feel better about myself. I feel like I just got a massage. Like, my back pain has gone away. Thank you for everything. And we look forward to seeing you in July at Beach Road Weekend Festival.
You guys are phenomenal. This is as much fun as I've ever had. And the ones who don't want to follow my stuff, forgive them. They know not what they do. That's what Jesus meant when he meant that. That more than anything. If you don't get it, whatever. Go to paulsamueldolman.com and definitely dive in and follow these brothers, everybody. And I'm going to put this in front of my flock, my cult, and hopefully they'll check you guys out, because you guys are phenomenally fun, and although humble, are very, very good at what you're doing.
What a guy. Just Paul.
You guys are amazing, and I'm not just saying that. You should hear me when I don't like somebody.
Yeah. Well, I did. I heard you talk about Trump. I heard you talk about Trump for a second.
I raised him since he was a kid. He's just gone off the rails.
All right. Well, thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you down the road.
Rock on.
Our hearts are free, so tell me what's wrong with the feeling. I'm a flower, you're a bee. It's much older than you and me. I'm in love, I'm alive, I belong to the stars and sky. Let's forget who we are for one night. We're not animals, baby, it's the people alive. I want real love, baby. Ooh, don't leave me waiting. I want real love, baby. Wait until you taste me. I want real love, baby. There's a world inside me, got the key, just use it. Just before a minute, our hearts are free. So tell me what's wrong